Hello YouTube, welcome to my first tutorial. Today we are here in the PMDG 737NGX, specifically the 737-900 in St. Martin Airport. You can see there's a controller standing up there. Today I'm going to be showing you how to cold and dark start up this aircraft, as it may say in the title. Now the reason why you see every single system working is because I'm going to show you how to start it up, how to put it in cold and dark. Because some people might not know how to do it. Now what you want to do is start Flight Simulator as an administrator. I don't think it works if you don't do that. And just go ahead and select the PMDG 737NGX or whichever aircraft you want to use. That is PMDG. And then go ahead, once you're started up and in here, this is how everything might look like if you just got it out of the box. So what you want to do is open up the FMC by hitting Shift 3, or you can also just use it by this and just click on the screen to open it up. Now what you want to do, it starts up as here. You're going to want to go to PMDG setup, startup state, NGX cold and dark, right here. You're not going to see all these are custom made. You're only going to see NGX cold and dark, NGX long, NGX short, and previous flight. Everything else is custom. And then once you do that, you're going to want to execute it. As you see, nothing happened. Everything works. You're going to want to go up here to aircraft, select aircraft, and then just let it open up. And you're going to want to reselect the PMDG 737. Just give it a second. This is actually my first tutorial on my channel. Everything else is just, you can look at my channel. There we go. Open up the 737-900, which is what I'm in. Wait a second to load. And now when it starts up, it's going to be in cold and dark. There we go. There we go. And now you can see nothing works whatsoever. Now I'm gonna get the initializing aircraft thing here in a second at the top. There we go. Frame rate's not so good today. There we go, initializing all systems. You can see the engine spooling down. Now I'm also going to show you how to program the FMC in departure. So I'm not going to show you arrivals and all that, just departure. We're going to do cold and dark and taxi and going to the runway. Now that we're in cold and dark, this is how everything should look like. Nothing's working. And that's how everything should look like. Now I'm getting the checklist off of a website that I'm going off of. I'll have a link in the description below. And I'm also have the pre-flight checklists is not going to be in the description. I think it does come with the aircraft. It's in the QRH. So the first thing on the pre-flight checklist is oxygen needs to be tested. You hit this button, and if you hear that, that means it works. Let's go ahead and try to test this. There we go. And this one, I don't think it's a little difficult. We'll skip that one. And the window heats, we cannot do that yet. So everything is set. So let's go back to the cold and dark checklist and start from there. Where is it? There. Now the parking brake, verify it's set, which it is not. Door 1 needs to be open if you would like to it. I'm not going to do that. Jetway connected, or just go ahead and lower the air stairs, but we're not going to be loading any passengers on our flight. Battery needs to be on, so let's open up the overhead by hitting Shift 6. And then you're going to want to come here and cover this like this. If I can get it, there we go. So now you're gonna want to check the voltage, which verify it says 28. Now the right one should be on standby power, so just this one. I'm gonna set standby power to auto, and now isolation valve I'm gonna set from right now. You're gonna wanna cancel the master caution, open up the overhead again, turn off all the hydraulic pumps, which I think you can turn these off also. Fuel pumps need to verify all of them are off, which are right here. Now interior lights, do it as required. I'm not gonna turn anything on because as you can see, we have daylight, so but you can find the interior lights right here. You can open that panel by hitting Shift 2, and you also have some lights in the overhead right here, and in the aft overhead, which is only the dome one. This one right here. Now verify cabin utility power is on by opening up the overhead and making sure these two are on. IFE pass seat power on, just right next to it. And now you're gonna wanna close the overhead, open up the FMC, clear any messages that pop up. There we go. Go into FS actions, ground connections, wheel chocks. Make sure that it's set. Ground power needs to be set. Air start unit, everything needs to be set basically. And go into menu X. Open up the overhead and select ground power, which is right here. Now I've actually done this tutorial before, but I didn't do very good on it. I did a long time ago. So now ground power works good. Emergency lights need to be on, which means this needs to be covered. External lights, position needs to be on steady. Wheel well needs to be on. Logo lights need to be on. And wing lights need to be on. Close this. If you get a master caution, disengage it. I don't get it. Another reason why the cockpit's all low quality is because I have to set it like this in order to get a decent frame rate to record. So seatbelt sign, we'll set it on to auto. Chime. Now close the overhead, open up the FMC, go into FS actions, payload, and go ahead and set any payload you want. I'm gonna set it randomly. So we have 6 passengers in first class, 87 in economy. Gross weight is 165.2, and our zero fuel weight is 122.8. And ZFW is actually the Air Route Traffic Control Center that I work for, virtual. So you aren't supposed to close the FMC. I did that. I'll clear this message. FS actions, fuel, and set the amount of fuel you need. I'm just gonna set 2/3. We're not doing a very long route. Open up the overhead. Turn on both recirculation fans, which are right here, and not turn them on, put them on auto. And these need to be on auto. These are the recirculation fans. These are the left and right packs. I did it backwards. Close the overhead. Make sure the autopilots are all off. Speed brake is down. Now I'm not using Easy Dock just because it makes it a little more confusing to myself. Cockpit voice recorder we need to check, so go hit this button for 5 seconds. And green light shows up. Close this, the overhead, open up which one is it? I'm gonna not do that. Come right down here and just left click. Make sure you get these 2 lights. And then right click. Make sure every single light all these lights come on, and you get the fire warning, master caution, and overheat on both sides. I don't think you're supposed to get the overheat on that side. So let's cancel the bell. Now you're going to want to open up the aft overhead. This one you're going to want to hit test. Make sure everything works. Then you're going to want to set it on heading STS. Then you're going to want to align the IRS. Don't put it on nav just yet. Shift 7, open up the FMC. Go into menu. Go into the FMC menu. Clear any messages that show up. Go into the position initiate. And then enter your departure code. We are at Tango November Charlie Mike. So you want to put in right here. It doesn't actually want to work. There we go. Copy it, paste it, and you don't have to put a gate in, but I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. Now you're gonna want to close the FMC, open up the aft overhead again, and you're gonna want to select these on nav. Close the aft overhead, and there we go. Every single system is now working. Now you're gonna want to. Now we're actually gonna start programming the FMC. Open up the FMC again. Go and select route. And now you just want to paste this in. Select your destination. Our destination is Tango Juliet Sierra Juliet. Put it in. Flight number will just say 123. And our departure runway, I actually don't know which runways are at this airport, so let's step out. We're gonna take off from runway 9er. So I'm gonna open up the FMC and put in 9. Unless it wants me to put, yeah, that's why it doesn't say not. Okay, so 09. Non-database. TNCM. I did put in. Okay. Go ahead. Let me make sure it's 9. Let's try 27. Anyway. Okay, it's not supposed to be doing that, but if it does, just ignore it. And cockpit. Give me a second. And now open up the FMC again. And you're going to want to go in and hit next page and start putting in your routes. So our first one is just Papa Juliet Mike, the Saint Marteen VOR. Then Juice is the second intersection. I actually don't know which one it is, so I'm using sim routes for this route. It's not gonna show me, is it? Just say the first one. And then LARPP. Put it in. Now you can find your complete route from sim routes or FlightAware, which one you prefer to use. Or I don't like to use flight simulators. This one. Now if you run out of space, just hit next page. Put it in. Now, put it into here. Dear Juliet uniform. It's this one. And that's our whole route. So, let me make sure I did everything right by checking the... You're gonna wanna hit activate, execute. You're going to the preference, initiate. Enter your 0 fuel weight. Just hit this 2 times. And it'll show up. Along with your gross weight. Cost index, I actually don't know what should go in there, so I'm just gonna put 80. Now if you click this little box, it'll actually, you can type it in from the keyboard. It's a little slower today. We'll just say 10 reserves. The climb maintain, it's just a 170 mile route, so we're gonna say flight level 180. Just transition altitude. Execute it. And one limit. I actually don't know what the transition altitude is in this country, but find one. Go ahead and take off. Set the takeoff. 5 flaps. Now, set the center of gravity, and I'll show you your trim. Now this is runway. Let's see if it actually takes it now. Runway 9. Don't want to take it. Give me a sec. See if it actually lets me do this. Nope. Oh yeah, and you can also save routes when you save it. You get the co-route, which now you no longer have to put in the whole route anymore. Let's see, not in database. Okay, if it says that, just ignore it. You're not gonna get V speeds, but we'll just add randomly 143, 154, and 163. And that's everything on the FMC. As you can see, it's a really long process. So let's keep on going on the cold and dark. Now the fuel pump aft number 1 needs to be on. Check the low pressure lights extinguished. APU needs to be started. Now, while that's starting up, you're going to want to make sure the EFIS is set on map, which it is. And the ranges as required. I'm going to set on whatever it is currently. Now as you can see, it has give me a second. It has put in our route. Really difficult to see because we're gonna need to make a sharp turn. Now open up the overhead again. And the APU gen switch left and right need to be on. There we go. And the APU bleed switch needs to be on. Engine bleed switches need to be on. And let's go on to the next page. Close the overhead, open up the FMC. We want to go into menu, FS actions, ground connections. Remove disconnect ground power. Which might, yeah. I'll do that. Disconnect air charge unit. And disconnect air conditioning. Close up the FMC, open up the overhead. And you're going to want to select these. For some reason it doesn't work. I think it's a bug in the system. There we go. And now all systems are working. Now disengage the master caution. I'm gonna close the heads-up display there. Common frequency set onto the ATC when not doing a flight. Make sure your flight plan is filed, everything's set, and then request your clearance, get your squawk code, and go ahead and put it into the transponder code right here. Now you're gonna want to open up the FMC again. Enter departure arrival. Select the departure. But that's why I didn't set it. The runways are 10 and 28. I'm gonna take off from runway 10. Execute. Now you're gonna want to select your SID and your transition. We're not doing that today, so I'm not gonna do that. Let's go back into the fine. Now, as you can see, it gives us our speeds because we actually put in a runway. Let's go into the next page. Now, our trim is 5.99, so you're going to want to start setting your trim to 5.99. I'm going backwards. Just go ahead and click on it a few times. We skipped it there. 5.99. Nope, not yet. There we go, close enough. Close all doors, be sure all doors are closed. Generator bus transfer switch needs to be idle and covered. I actually don't know where that is, so make sure that's covered. Fuel pumps all need to be on, no crossfeed. And make sure the low pressure sign is extinguished. Hydraulic pumps all need to be on, and low pressure sign needs to be extinguished. Low pressure light. And just wait for these. These I don't think needs to be extinguished because the engines haven't started yet. Collision lights need to be on. Left and make sure close the overhead. Make sure the fuel cutoff switch and thrust levers are idle. And you're gonna want to start your pushback. Go into menu, FS actions, pushback, and hit start.
Ground, cockpit. All right, Captain. We're all set to go up here. We've been cleared to push and start at your discretion.
Now the before start checklist.
Power and air are clear, doors closed. We are ready for pushback. Please parking brake, please.
I don't wanna disengage the parking brake.
Okay, parking brake is off. Cleared to push.
Okay, there we go. Now you're gonna wanna set all the autopilot while they're pushing back. Our temporary altitude is 10,000. Heading, I'm actually not gonna set that. And speed, I'm gonna set it at our V rotate speed, which is menu FMC. It's going our V2 speed, which is 156, not V rotate. Now close the FMC, open up the overhead. Make sure the left and right pack are turned off. So these, turn them off. Put this on both. This ignition switch.
Push is complete. Set parking brake, please.
Set the parking brake.
Alright, brakes are set and pressure's normal.
Now you're gonna want to start starting up the engines. So go move this into ground.
Alright,
And
guys, thanks. You're cleared to disconnect. We will be watching for the pin and the release from guidance on the
select
right side
this
of the
button.
airplane, and we'll see you guys next time through.
Now the engines are showing up. When this goes into 20, you're gonna want to select this. So now, and you're gonna want to put the fuel flow. Turn it on, or I actually don't know what it's called. Go ahead and push back again. He didn't push us back enough. Fast actions, push back. Just gonna do a manual pushback, default pushback. Now while the engines are starting up, as you see the low pressure sign has extinguished. Go ahead and start up this first engine, engine number 1, put this on continuous. Close the overhead. Now you're going to want to look out for this to be on 20%. And 20% fuel flow. Stop the pushback. Open up the overhead again. Make sure this is on continuous. Once you hear that click, you're going to want to put this on continuous. It'll automatically click. Engine generator switches needs to be on. Try these. And then make sure the generators are working by putting this on generator 2. Check the voltage. And now you're going to want to turn off the APU. There we go. And turn off the APU bleed. Now you can turn on both packs again. Put them on auto. Probes need to be on. Probe heat, window heat need to be on. Engine anti-ice as required will turn them on. Wing anti-ice will turn them on. Yeah, the damper needs to be on. Let it turn on. Flaps need to be set, which is 5 degrees. Close the overhead, put the auto brake on, ready, reject the takeoff. Pushback needs to be ended. Open up the overhead. Turn on the taxi lights. Make sure these both are on continuous. Runway turn off lights need to be on. And that's the end of the start checklist. And you're going to want to turn on the flight directors. Auto throttle needs to be armed. Make sure everything's working. Now for the final thing, just make sure there aren't any orange lights up here. This one actually doesn't count. Neither does this one. So if you don't see any lights in the overhead, everything's working fine. Now let's actually let me make sure I did all the checklists. Before taxi checklists, recall. You're gonna want to make sure recall. There's nothing. And flight controls is actually the last thing on this checklist. So go ahead and hit this button. And you're gonna want to check your flight controls. We have full elevators working perfectly. Left aileron, right rudder, and left rudder. Now make sure the spoilers work. They work fine. Okay, so takeoff pre-start check before takeoff checklist complete, or before taxi checklist complete. Let's go ahead and taxi to runway 9er. So actually going to have to go by the runway, make a turn right and over here. Need to change the view. While you're taxiing, you're gonna want to make sure of one thing. TAI on above 10 degrees. So go ahead and go into menu, PMDG setup, aircraft, failures. Make sure nothing's on, just in case. Sometimes if you brake too hard, the brakes will start failing. And then when you land, you have no brakes. Only spoilers and reverse thrusts. Everything's working fine. Turn on the landing lights now. I'm gonna wanna start turning right here. Make a turn to line up with the runway. A bit too fast. Make sure trim is set, flaps are set, auto brake is set, everything is set. Make sure you have no lights before taking off, landing light is set, and all other lights are set before taking off. Just line up with the runway here. And brake the aircraft. Flaps need to be set, and forward takeoff checklist complete. So now you can take off, and I'll stop the video after takeoff. So first set the N1 to 40%. When stable, you can set takeoff power. Make sure the auto throttles are armed. Now the frame rate isn't so good, but it's only like that because FRAPS really does, or the frame rate, so usually whenever I record it doesn't do this. I'm gonna lower up the HUD just to make it a lot easier. And V1, rotate. V2, positive rate, gear up, flaps up. And now you're just going to turn on the autopilot once you reach 4,000 feet. Just gonna wanna get over this mountain, or hill. It is going to be a little steep climb. And that ends our video. Thanks for watching. Please rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.